Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. I think it would be absolutely insane to abandon XRP right now. After everything we've been through the last few years and XRP finally achieving regulatory clarity, there's still some people freaking out about XRP price action, which literally doesn't make sense. XRP is up about the same amount as Bitcoin as ETH is over the last 30 days. But importantly, XRP has legal clarity. It's clearly unshackled now, and it continues to move in correlation with the broader crypto market. Why wouldn't it blast off when we have our next euphoria season, which, by the way, I think is as close to a certainty as is possible in life? It would be crazy to have gone through all of this and actually abandon XRP right now, but I still see some people a bit fearful out there. And there are some people that even think that Ripple, based on certain things that have come to light, that Ripple could be abandoning XRP. Have you heard some of these conversations on social media, some in recent months here? It's just, folks, it's just not happening. Ripple, and for so many reasons, I want to break some of this down here. But, Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple's CEO, he was interviewed on stage recently at DC FinTech Week, and he was joking about giving up the role of CEO if only he could crack the XRP price code. Because that's all you need, right? Once you figure that out, if there were such a thing anyway, right? But no, the reality of the situation is, like, Ripple has spent a veritable fortune to ensure that there is legal clarity for XRP. They put forth a serious fight, and that has been of the utmost importance to them. And that's why when I see some of these arguments about, Ripple's, conviction in sticking with XRP, like I don't see how we could even reasonably debate such a. I mean, it's out there, and it's fair. I mean, from a technical perspective, yes, debate whatever you want to. I like civil discourse, but I don't see how it makes rational sense to legitimately have concern that Ripple might in some way abandon XRP or this or that. And by the way, the fact that they've offered their liquidity hub they offer now all sorts of other cryptos and not XRP, that's not a sign that they're abandoning XRP. XRP is still at the core of their business model. But anyway, Attorney John Deaton made a comment that it's, quote, insane to abandon XRP, end quote, but he's referencing Ripple specifically, and I want to share with you exactly what he had to say. Before going further, though, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Here's a headline from the Crypto Basic. Ripple CEO jokes about quitting CEO role if he could crack XRP price code. In a light-hearted remark, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse recently expressed that he would be open to stepping down from his role as CEO to concentrate on cryptocurrency market trends should he understand the dynamics that dictate crypto pricing. Folks, I understand it. XRP follow Bitcoin. At least as far as XRP price is concerned, XRP. Now you can talk about why does Bitcoin do what it does. Okay, fair enough, but almost all of it, not literally, but almost all of it, I mean, the part that truly matters in terms of XRP price action, the asset class moves in tandem here. So that would have been, my answer would have been something like that. But check this out. Notably, this remark from Garlinghouse came during an interview at DC FinTech Week 2023. The host asked Garlinghouse to comment on XRP's price surge, acknowledging that the Ripple CEO would focus on the utility of XRP rather than speculation. In response, Garlinghouse noted that the overall market has been up, given Bitcoin's breakout to over $35,000. In parallel, Garlinghouse humorously noted that if he could predict crypto prices accurately, he might leave his CEO position to focus on market movements. And here's what he said, and this is a quote from him. Look, if I had a magical window into what drives crypto prices, I probably would quit this job and just go do that, end quote. And fair enough. I mean, it is wild. And a lot of the volatility, which is what makes it worth being in this space, is because there's such a frenzy around it, because there is that uncertainty, but there's also not that much money in the entire crypto asset class. So it doesn't take much money flowing in to get things really going nuts. But again, that's the reason I'm here. I'm here for the volatility. That's why this is exciting. We don't like it to the downside, but we have to accept that, because without that, you don't get the upside either. It doesn't perpetually go up with no pullbacks or anything like that. But, as far as Ripple's conviction with XRP, consider this. Like, Ripple at this particular moment in time, The legal bills for them are up to about $150 million. And again, the core question, which has been answered, is whether or not XRP is security. And Judge Torres declared it is not. So money well spent in the end, because that's what it took, unfortunately, here. But you think that they do that and fight to that degree and not settle with the SEC, which they could have done years ago if they didn't give a damn about XRP? Don't you think that maybe that's an indication we shouldn't be worrying about such? So here's the headline from the Crypto Basic. Ripple CEO in DC. Ripple legal bills now over $150 million. Ripple will fight SEC up to Supreme Court. Government shouldn't pick winners and losers. Yeah, and so he's really absolutely shredded the SEC, and it's deserved. And so this is the event where Gary Gensler actually speaking at the exact same event here. Made a video about that a couple days or so ago. Anyway, Garlinghouse Slams SEC in DC. Ripple legal bills now over $150 million. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse comments on the SEC lawsuit, saying the company has already spent over $150 million and is prepared to challenge the regulator in the Supreme Court. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse has revealed that the blockchain company still faces regulatory hurdles in the United States despite its legal victory against the SEC. Garlinghouse made this known during his outing at the DC FinTech Week, emphasizing that U.S. banks are hesitant to work with crypto-related firms. In his remark at the DC FinTech Week conference yesterday, Garlinghouse said banks have chosen not to engage meaningfully with crypto companies until the government's hostilities toward the industry change. And so, folks, when you think about the IPO situation with Ripple, and we now know for sure that Ripple is not going to be moving forward with an IPO in the short term, and that actually does come from the top. That's not speculation. That actual news. I've seen the evidence myself, even though Ripple didn't publicly state this. Many others have corroborated this as well. I'm telling you, it is a real thing. Even though that's the case for the short term anyway, I still do believe there will be an IPO over the long haul. But it just goes to show you the degree to which the SEC has just done damage, because even with XRP having legal clarity, like, banks don't want to touch this stuff, even with Ripple. And when you're talking about the IPO specifically, because Ripple went on their roadshow earlier this year, it was made clear to them, unfortunately, during the roadshow that this is not the time. Now, thankfully, Ripple doesn't need the money. They have more money than God. They've got, I'm sure, whatever it is, I'm sure over $1 billion on their balance sheet here. But unfortunately, there's been some serious damage. I think I have this is what I want to pull up. Here you go. XRP Crow, XRP community member. He's at Status on social media platform X. He makes these awesome infographics and also quotes with a graphic overlay here. And here is a quote from Brad Garlinghouse at DC FinTech Week, literally yesterday. And he said, quote, regarding the SEC v. Ripple case, "Even if you won the case, the U.S. government is still hostile towards crypto. Until that changes, the U.S. banks in the U.S. are not going to engage meaningfully," end quote. And look, banks are conservative by nature. And that's why even once Ripple did go to market with their on-demand liquidity product utilizing XRP as a bridge currency, it's no surprise that remittance firms were the first companies to jump on board rather than banks. Now, of course, everything ultimately catches up, but, one foot in front of the other, one step at a time here, right? And then there was also this regarding the Supreme Court. Yeah, let me jump down a little bit further because I don't want to read this whole article. There's a couple parts that I found the most interesting. Meanwhile, Garlinghouse pointed out that the SEC lawsuit could go to the Supreme Court. Interestingly, he stated the company's readiness to engage the commission in the country's highest judicial authority. Recall that the SEC had already signaled its intention to appeal the court's July 13th ruling. Shortly after the court issued its summary judgment decision, the SEC expressed disappointment over the decision, thus asking the court to certify an interlocutory appeal. The court denied the request, ordering the SEC to wait until all pending issues are resolved. With the SEC dropping its charges against Ripple execs, the regulator could file a full appeal in the Second Circuit sooner. However, Garlinghouse, who believed the case could head to the Supreme Court, stated that Ripple is, quote, in it till the end quote. Now, of course, what's at stake is, the part that Ripple lost in particular. Although, if there's an appeal, maybe everything's up. But in particular, on the institutional side of things, but the law of the land as it stands today, as XRP, of course, itself is not a security, And even if things ended up disastrously for Ripple, even if there were a successful appeal against them, which I'm highly skeptical of, that would only apply to transactions that touch Ripple, not secondary market transactions on exchanges like you and I purchasing XRP. That would not apply there. Then there was also this from my fellow XRP YouTuber, The Bearable Bull. Brad Garlinghouse fired a shot that will be heard around the world, and he shared this quote from the same event, the DC FinTech Week thing. Garlinghouse said, quote, "If the SEC and Gary Gensler wasn't wasting time suing Ripple and meeting with Sam Bankman-Fried, maybe we could have avoided some of the fraud that occurred in the crypto space." End quote. Spot on. Spot on. You couldn't sniff that out, the fraud right under your nose, but you sure went after the Kardashian girl, didn't you? You went after Kim Kardashian, ended up settling for, I can't remember the number, it was over $1 million. And but you went after the Kardashians, and then you went after Ripple, harming XRP investors. These are the choices that you've made. And I know that Gary Gensler, he's not the one that initiated the lawsuit. He wasn't one of the 5 voters on that because he wasn't SEC chair yet. But he could have absolutely, having the power he does over the entire agency, he could have done any number of things to wind that down. Here's what Attorney John Deaton had to say, and this is why, again, when it comes to, this idea of abandoning XRP, I think and look, I'm not telling you to buy or sell or hold, you do whatever you want listening to this. Just my personal opinion. I think it's insane for retailers, especially at this point, to abandon XRP. But I also think it's insane for Ripple to abandon XRP, and so does Attorney John Deaton. Here's what he had to say. And this is actually a post he shared about a week ago. I haven't shared it on the channel, and it fits in perfectly with this, so I thought I'd highlight it anyway. But here's what he said. "As I've said for more than 3 years, Ripple is not going to abandon XRP. It has a fiduciary duty not to. Do the math. 2015. Series A valuation, $128 million. In 2016, Series B valuation, $410 million. 2020, Series C valuation, $10 billion. 2022, Series C buyback valuation, $15 billion. So he's talking about the valuation of Ripple, the company. And then he says, last year, Ripple bought back its Series C shares at a 50% higher price. Ripple clearly believed that investing $300 million on itself was the best investment available at the time. But Ripple did so during the worst crypto bear market we've experienced and before the Torres ruling. That took balls. Now you see one of the reasons why I've said Brad Garlinghouse is arguably the MVP of crypto company CEOs. Ripple's pre-IPO shares clearly trade at a valuation significantly less than $15 billion. Owning $48 billion to $50 billion in XRP make it insane to abandon XRP. If XRP reaches $2, Ripple has an asset valued at $100 billion. You get the picture. Right, and so it is the case that, the market value of XRP at any given time, that's not truly factored in to the valuation of Ripple, the company, or else the valuation of Ripple, the company, of $15 billion would actually be many billions higher, like tens of billions higher, obviously. So that's without that. But one additional reason that they're not going to abandon XRP is, like, again, even though there's been no IPO to this point, they do have private investors. If you're an accredited investor, you can purchase shares of Ripple, the company. You absolutely can. And, it's well understood that a big part of the appeal, even if it's not part of that $15 billion valuation, is that Ripple holds so much XRP. And the reason that it's not factored in is because there's this understanding of the notional value of XRP, and if Ripple were to start selling their XRP, even if it weren't in escrow, that would just tank the price of XRP, so they could never realize what the market value is on paper. They couldn't actually realize that. And so that's a reason. But it's still worth something, so it should be at some sort of discount, even post-IPO. There should be at some point in the future, you would think anyway, right? But the reason that I'm even mentioning this is because it's just to make this broader point that if Ripple actually abandoned XRP, or they were burning XRP, or any number of things, like, this would be perceived as detrimental to shareholders, and they could have legal recourse as a result of that. Because it's understood that XRP is such a core component of their business model. No, they're not. They're not abandoning XRP. That would be bad for them. And even if they did, they'd have shareholders coming after them. Okay? It's like, because it would be that drastic of a decision. And of course, it's not the case that shareholders get to handle the day-to-day operations of the company. That's not how this works. But this is such a core component that, yes, I believe there would be legal recourse under such circumstances. But it's just a wacky concept that they do that. It's not going to happen. So yeah, it would be insane to abandon XRP. And so think about this. With XRP being at the core of their business model, Ripple has done more than double and triple down on themselves with XRP at the core of the business model. They're not abandoning XRP, obviously. And so where do you think that they think the market's going to go for XRP, even though they can't say all this stuff out loud because they take too much heat for it? Obviously, they think XRP is going to be worth a freaking fortune. And so for us here on the retail side, even though, look, I don't make price predictions, I don't pretend to know what's going to happen with XRP price-wise, my supposition is that it's going to be worth way more in the future. And if I'm wrong, and I could be, it goes to zero, fine. I think it's going to be worth way more in the future. And with XRP finally having legal clarity, I do believe it would be insane to abandon XRP right now. The life-changing wealth is at hand. We just got to wait and see exactly how this unfolds. But that's what I believe is most probable anyway. And clearly Ripple does as well. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.